Simmons is still Gene Simmons. He and his famous tongue are still provocative, and they're still in your face. With a return to the stage with his legendary band KISS, the world-famous rocker somehow found time to write a new book called, get this, what else? Sex, Money, Kiss. Gene Simmons joins me now. An appropriate title, huh?
It's a gorgeous title because it really sort of sums up my philosophy. I think most men's philosophy, women's philosophy too, but I think they think of money and then sex, maybe a kiss, or perhaps kiss.
I think kiss first, don't you?
Kiss first, then certainly money. No, I think money. Then you can have a kiss, and then maybe you can have sex.
Well, this is what's interesting about your book. You know, most people say, obviously, it's love that makes the world go around. You say, no, it's all about the dollar.
Well, the book is kind of a lighthearted, sort of a personal philosophy, my travels through life. And what I've learned, being an only child, since I've had a lot of time to myself and to sort of ponder the great secrets of the universe, is that what they teach us is really not true. They're figments of our imagination. They're sort of remnants of the Puritan ethic, you know, that things like money is the root of all evil. It's really not true. Lack of money is the root of all evil.
Well, and you say that wives are the root of all evil.
No, that's not necessary. That's,
well, let me read you a fun quote you
put.
Let me read you a quote that you put. You put, a wife either lives a life of lies, I love this quote, or she deals with it. A prostitute has more self-respect. A prostitute at least tells you what it'll cost beforehand.
Yes, I'm not saying that there isn't love and that there isn't caring between, you know, a man and husband. It's just that
a man and a husband?
Sorry. Well, now that the
we need to send you back to Greenwich Village. Is there something you want to announce on the show?
Slip of the tongue. Oh yes, I'm gay. That's what I want to say. But
all these women in your book, that was all a facade.
Yes, it's just because I try so hard to be so macho that it's just to cover up the fact that my tail actually wags for the other team. But what I was going to say was that, look, it's a lighthearted approach to stuff, but make no mistake about it. Let's take a look at the blueprint of man. The blueprint says that we spew out billions of sperm. Every 5 minutes to an hour, by the way, because we spew out billions and billions more.
Have you timed this? Have you personally timed this?
I'm told, but there have been 5 minutes that have elapsed every once in a while. And women really believe that the 1 or 2 eggs that you make, all those sperm are intended just for her and that they're all lined up facing her. But the truth is we're more like trees. We explode like pollen and we just want to spread the joy. Now, I could understand if you wanted 1,000 of my sperm or 500,000, even a billion.
You would offer it, is what you're saying.
Leave me a few billion to just fool around with.
No, you talk about exploding, but you have been with one woman for the past 20 years, probably other women on the side.
Shannon Tweed, she's
have you been faithful? Or you've
20 years. There's no such thing as faithful. It's a relative point of view based on female insecurity about her 1 or 2 eggs that she makes. The truth is that whether you're married or single, the guy is going to do whatever the hell he wants to do anyway. And I believe, and I support the notion that women want, which is the sanctity of the oath. You should say what you mean and mean what you say. If I promise to you that from now until the day we die, we're going to be together, Rita, there's going to be no other woman.
So your word has to be good, regardless.
The word has to be good, but everybody else out there lies. Every single person that gets married takes the oath and then breaks it because they feel like it. What happened to the sanctity of the oath? I refuse to take the oath because the only thing wrong, well, one of the only things wrong with marriage is that one of the two getting married is a man.
Well, and this is interesting. One of the quotes you have, I love this one. I choose a certain lifestyle. Hard work, no drugs, which I think is interesting because a lot of people think rockers, you guys wore makeup, 10-inch heels, you know, right, but you know, no drugs or booze and no marriage. It has served me well.
That's not necessarily good for the gander, by the way. What's good for the goose is never to get married, financially speaking, not perhaps in the matters of love and of the heart. However, for the woman, it's to your benefit to get married as often as you can, as soon as you can.
But what if you're a successful woman who's independent on her, you know,
it's an exception
doing well,
to the rule,
you know?
Unfortunately. It's an exception to the rule, unfortunately, because most of the other women in the world watch Oprah and Dr. Phil, and I do too, and they stay at home and watch I Love Lucy reruns, and by the...
I am too busy working. I don't have time.
You're the exception, which is why you and I were at a party together the other night, weren't we?
Yes, and we left separately, just for the record.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we did. Yeah, that's what we did.
I was going to get in trouble if I didn't say that.
But you're right. Speaking of potato chips, on July the 22nd, KISS is bringing out the KISS Symphony, which is going to be a combination of the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra and KISS. The entire 70-piece, wearing KISS makeup, the entire 70-piece Melbourne Symphony Orchestra playing at Melbourne Stadium. Oh, there's Cher.
Yeah, who you were with at one point. I don't know why that's sort of juxtaposed in there, but you were with Cher at one point, speaking of women.
Crazy about her still, and, you know, she's a wonderful woman, and so is Diana, and so is anybody who's been a part of my life. You know, the astonishing thing is that people go through lives being in love relationships, and then when they break up, they become enemies. If you've been lovers, why can't you at the very least be friends, is what I don't understand. But getting back to the shill part of it, because that's why I'm here, is the KISS Symphony, a live 4.
And
yes?
KISS is also reuniting with Aerosmith this summer. This is going to be amazing. We're going out on tour,
on the tour of the year, KISS and Aerosmith together, and we're going to blow the stage up. This is going to be a great chance for everybody to get the show of the year, and that starts early August and should last a full year. And of course, between my magazine, which is coming out July 29th.
Which is appropriately called Tongue.
Gene Simmons' Tongue, that's right. It's a chance for me to hang around beautiful women and to again fool the public into thinking that I'm straight.
Well, of course, we had to get a shot of that. I think we got to zoom in.
No, you wanted to get a shot of that.
Oh, wait a minute. No, speaking of topics, one of the things you and I talked about the other day, which I think is really interesting, Mideast. You grew up in Israel. Your mother was a Holocaust survivor. My father was a POW. We were talking about this. You studied at an ashram, and you were going to be a rabbi.
Yeah, I was studying to be a rabbi. Actually, ashram is the word for the Muslim side of it. If you study in an ashram, you study to be a Muslim cleric. In the Jewish religion, it's called something else.
But it's similar.
The idea is, yes, a theological seminary studying to be a rabbi. But when I was 12 years old, I actually wrote about it in my first book, New York Times bestselling book, Kiss and Makeup. About being 12 years old and looking out the window, and this is when I was deep into rabbinical studies, and I saw a Spanish girl jumping rope. By the way, we called them Spanish girls because in those days you didn't fool yourself into thinking you were a Latino because you didn't speak Latin. You
right,
say?
Right, of
Truth
course.
in advertising. She was a Spanish girl. She spoke Spanish. And she was jumping rope, and the hair was sort of slapping her butt every other time. And I'm saying, God, this is a lot better than yarmulkes. I think I'm going to go get me some of that.
And you're still watching that butt to this day, it sounds like.
It is the eternal hunt for skirt. That's what we're designed for. Remember all those billions of sperm?
Yeah, I remember.
Why can't we all get along? Yes, it's important. But I advise all women in this lighthearted book, Sex, Money, Kiss, which is already climbing up the charts, thank you very much, is sort of a lighthearted attempt at understanding men and women. Because when you really get down to it, women and men delude themselves into thinking that we're the same. We're not. We both share the same planet. I believe women are better. You are a higher life form.
See, we finally agree on something.
But if I have to encapsulate it, women are from Mars, men have penis. That's about as close as we get to each other.
Gene Simmons, we're going to have to wrap up on that note. Very appropriate note to end on, don't you think?
You're the Fox on Fox, aren't you?
Thank you very much,
You're
Gene Simmons.
Welcome.
Great to see you. Thank you. Very romantic, isn't he? Gene Simmons, thank you very much. And unfortunately, we're going to switch gears to something a little more serious. And Gene Simmons, we're going to update you just one more time on that breaking news story out of San Francisco. It happened in the Tenderloin district, known as one of San Francisco's red light districts. So far, 3 people are dead. Another is